Kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome to the Wellington City Council Get Set to Elect Local Elections webinar. We'll start with a karakia from Karepa Wall.
Mai e wakarangona te runga nei. Mai e re are atua tupua nuku atupu arangi. Ui ara te pautuarongo o tō tātou ware wānanga. Kia tū wini kia tū wana e wakau i ngā kau i wakararau i inengaro o tāngata. Kia kātea te titiro, kia kātea te kōrero, kia kātea te wānanga i te ao tūroa. Ko i rai rongo wakairea ki runga kia tīna, hui e, tāiki e.
Thank you, Karepa. This webinar is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about the local elections. Tonight we're going to hear from Barbara Makero, the Chief Executive of Wellington City Council, and a panel of experts on the role of council and the importance of you voting. We're going to talk about the three phases of the elections: enrolling to vote, standing for council, and voting. And we'll hear from Wellington City Council Chief Māori Officer Karepa Wall about the new Māori ward. At the end of the session, we'll be open for questions and we'll be using a platform called Slido. This will make it super easy for our panelists to answer any questions about any aspect of the election process that you have. We'll do our very best to answer all the questions you have, but if we happen to run out of time, they'll all be posted online at vote.nz website. Where they'll be answered. So keep those questions coming. I promise you, you won't miss out. And if you're looking for more information on any of the topics discussed here tonight, there's a link in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Okay, we're ready to start. I'd first like to introduce Barbara to you. Barbara is the CEO of Wellington City Council. She has more than 30 years experience as a senior executive and is an authentic collaborative leader with a strong focus on building high-performing organisations. Tonight, Barbara will talk to us about the role of council and the importance of making your vote count.
Barbara. Thank you. Great introduction. The great thing about being a chief executive is you have the value of an expert team sitting with you. So it's my role to talk to you about the council and its purpose, but you're going to hear a lot more about the elections themselves from my team. Anyway, the first thing I'll say is local councils are creatures of statute. So one of the acts that I've had to become very familiar with over the years is the Local Government Act. And if you want to send yourself to sleep one night, why don't you go online and have a look at it? It's a pretty thick piece of work. But one of the key things I talk about a lot is the purpose of local government. And this is the same purpose for every kind of local authority in the country, including our very largest local authority, Auckland Council. The core purpose is to promote the social, economic, environmental and cultural well-being of communities, both for today, but also for the future, which is why local authorities spend a lot of time planning and looking ahead, and we have to look ahead a long way. Our long-term planning processes look ahead at least 10 years. Our infrastructure plans look ahead at least 30 years. And of course, the other very important purpose of a local authority is to give effect to democratic decision-making by and on behalf of local communities. So if you're thinking about standing for the council, this is a really important role for our city. An elected member is there on the governing body to help set the direction of the city. You approve the budgets which fund our city services and facilities, and there are a lot of them. You adopt things like bylaws, you approve policies, you review plans, and there's a lot of discussion and reading and preparation to think about how we prepare for the needs, and they are diverse needs of our communities. So one of the things you know about local government, there are a lot of meetings, and there's a lot of interaction with people like me and my team, because it's our role as managers to provide advice to the council. So governance versus management. The other thing I often talk about with people is the perception of what a council does versus the reality. I've been in local government a very long time. I often say it's more than 30 years, and if I were truthful, it's probably closer to 40 years these days. But the thing about it is I am still learning in my role. because we encounter so many different challenges and so many different issues, and of course they have to be specifically for the community you serve. So local government is actually more demanding and more complex than people realise, not to put you off, but just to prepare you if you do end up being an elected member of a council. You're going to be assuming governance oversight of a very large and diverse business. And that business has to comply with a lot of different laws and processes and regulations. But the good thing is that there is a great team in the council of very talented people who are there to support our governing body in those processes. The other thing about a local authority, and Wellington City Council is what's called a territorial local authority as opposed to a regional council, is that it has some big functions and they're all interrelated, but they are specific in their own right. So one major role we play, and it's very visible, is as a deliverer of services every day on the front line to our communities. Wellington City Council actually delivers more than 400 services to our community every day. And you know, we have a number of quite distinct business units and a lot of people with a lot of different technical and professional skills to do that. But it's a really important part of creating a great place for people to live in and work in and play in, essentially. Then, of course, we're also what I'd describe as an infrastructure company. We're very much in the business of infrastructure, and infrastructure has been a big topic of conversation for the council over the last 3 years. Councils own assets and build assets that are there really in perpetuity to serve the communities, and the value of our assets currently are more than $7 billion, in fact probably closer to $8 billion now, since we've done a revaluation of our transport infrastructure and our Three Waters infrastructure. We've also got a big program of expenditure planned over the next 10 years to address the needs of our infrastructure, because there has been over a long period of time a level of underinvestment, we know now. So over the next 10 years we've actually got a $3.2 billion capital expenditure program to deliver, and that is the biggest program Wellington City has ever delivered. In fact, the last year we've delivered the biggest ever capital works program in the history of Wellington City Council, so a lot is going on. And we've got a lot of cost pressures to deal with as we work through those works. We all need a capital city fit for the future, and there is a planned medium to long-term program of transformation with strategic priorities focus on these particular areas. So I've mentioned infrastructure. Clearly infrastructure is a major priority for the council. Underground infrastructure, but also above ground infrastructure, the buildings we own, the parks, the walkways, the spaces and the vibrancy of our CBD. Also our resilience and adaptability as a city, and there are a lot of parts to that, but it includes seismic resilience. Of course, Wellington, capital city, we all know the seismic resilience issues of the city and the need to make sure our buildings can withstand that risk. But also climate change response and being able to adapt as we move forward. Our economy is another focus, and particularly coming out of a global unprecedented pandemic. The council has done a lot of work on addressing the results of that pandemic in an ongoing way, and working to ensure that we have a strategy to support a vibrant and thriving economy. Our funding and resourcing is a big focus in its own right, because we haven't yet provided for everything we need to in our 10-year plan, and there's work to do in providing the funding necessary to deliver on major transformational programs like Let's Get Wellington Moving. And then in the background, local government is also facing reform. So you will have read about Three Waters reform, currently going through that process as a council, but also reform of the Resource Management Act. And there is a panel currently considering other issues about the future of local government in New Zealand. So look, there's so much more I could say, but I think the key thing I can say to you is I have a pre-election report, which is a report chief executives in New Zealand are required to do every 3 years ahead of an election, and that report sets out the big challenges and the big opportunities for our city and our financial position and the work we have done over the past 3 years, the work yet to be done. You can find that on our website. It's a great source of information, and the team will talk a little bit more about that. So now it's my pleasure to hand over to Jennifer Parker, who is the Council's Manager of Governance and Democracy Services, and she is also a very busy person, being the Deputy Electoral Officer. So there you go, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Kia ora koutou. My name's Jennifer Parker. I'm the Deputy Electoral Officer for Wellington City. And so elections 2022, it's a really exciting time of any city when we're going out for an election. And the key thing is we want as many people to vote as possible. So everything we're doing is to try and align with that. So there's 3 parts to an election, and I'm going to talk about 2 parts of those before handing over to my colleague Sean to do a bit more. So I'm here to talk about enrolling to vote and standing as a candidate in the Wellington election. So enrolling to vote is really important because this is how you get to have your say about who is going to represent you on council and around the elected bodies. Enrolling to vote is really easy to do. Enrolling early makes it faster and easier to vote. So the key thing to remember is if you've voted in the last parliamentary elections and you haven't moved, you're already enrolled to vote. Enrolling's really easy to do. It takes 30 seconds. You can do it online. Just go to vote.nz, and I'm going to repeat that a couple of times as we go through. So check your details to be sure your address is correct. This means you'll get the voting papers sent right to your house. And that's handy to remember because voting in council elections is mainly done by post. So what does being enrolled mean? Enrolling simply means you're registering your details to the ward you live in so that you can vote in the elections for the politicians you want to represent you at council. Once you enrol, the Electoral Commission will keep your details on file so you can vote in any elections that take place in your area. So it's important to update your address if you move house. Your voting papers will be sent to whatever address you have on file. And again, go to vote.nz to check your address details are correct. So who can vote? You're eligible to vote if you're 18 years or older, a New Zealand citizen or permanent resident, and you've lived in New Zealand continuously for 12 months or more at some time in your life. If you're 17, you can fill out enrolment forms now, and on your 18th birthday, you'll automatically be enrolled and ready to vote. Easy. The second part I wanted to talk about was standing as a candidate. So the election is here to elect candidates, and we need candidates to stand to represent their city. So standing for council, standing as an elected member is a great way to represent your community and your city. If you're passionate about community, the city, the future of Wellington, then you should consider running. As Barbara was saying, it's a massive job, and we'll talk a little bit about that now. But remember, if you can vote and you're a New Zealand citizen, you can be a councillor. So Wellington needs people to stand for the role of mayor, ward councillor, Māori ward councillor, community board member. Candidate nominations close this Friday at 12 noon. Sean will talk a bit more in a minute about the different bodies that people need to stand for. But please, if you are thinking about enrolling, I encourage you to look on the website. This is the candidate handbook that's been prepared. It contains all the information that anybody would need to know to stand. We put a lot of work into preparing it. We want to make sure that people are using this information and really thinking about how they can stand. And again, I'll just say that deadline. So it's this Friday at 12 noon. Please get in early if you're going to put in your nominations form. In New Zealand, every year, every election, there are people that miss out because they literally left it too late and they didn't make that noon deadline, or there was some problem with their paperwork, which again couldn't be corrected by that noon deadline. So you can find the candidate handbook on the wellingtoncitycouncil.gov.nz website. And that's also where you can find the pre-election report that Barbara was talking about before. So what do elected members do? So elected members are the politicians we entrust decision-making for our city with. So it's a big job with lots of responsibilities. Members talk about it being a rewarding position, to be able to influence change across the city, to listen to constituents from a place of action, from a place where they can impact on those decisions. All elected members are given training and guidance throughout their term so that you're well equipped to make decisions on a range of topics, and it is a wide range of topics that decisions need making on. Our council officers provide advice around our policies and operational considerations, so elected members have all the information they need. Every 3 years before the local body elections, the Chief Executive prepares a pre-election report, and this report covers the state of Wellington City. It provides really useful information for potential candidates, and it's also on the Wellington City Council wcc.gov.nz website. A full candidate briefing is also provided before every election. Our one was held last month, but the information from that briefing is still available to everybody. So you can find the information, the slides from the PowerPoints on the WCC website. And there's also a full recording of the briefing available on the Wellington City Council YouTube channel. And like today's session, that briefing had sign language interpreters. So we really do encourage you to enrol to vote and to consider standing to represent your city. Thanks for your interest in enrolling and standing. I'm going to hand over to Sean, the Democracy Team Leader, to talk to you about voting. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm here to talk about voting. The key thing about voting in council elections is that every vote counts. Council elections happen every 3 years, and almost every time, somewhere around the country, there's a tie. So your vote really could be the one between somebody who represents you and somebody who doesn't. Our last council mayoral election was the closest one ever. So in council elections, your vote really can make a difference. As Jennifer mentioned, voting in council elections is mainly done by post. So if you're enrolled to vote, then check your mailbox between the 16th of September and the 21st of September, and your vote should get mailed right to you. You need to get your vote back to us by noon on Saturday, the 8th of October. So there's a few different ways you can do that. You can pop it in a normal post box right up until Tuesday, the 4th of October. And then for this election, we're also going to have 55 additional bright orange bins around the city and in your community, and you can drop your vote off to any of those bins right up until noon sharp on Saturday, the 8th of October. There'll be a box in every supermarket, there'll be a box in every library, and there'll be boxes in other places around the city. One of the great things about the postal voting system is that it gives a lot of flexibility in the way you want to vote. So if you want to vote at home and do that by yourself and drop it down to a post box, you can do that. And if you want to get together with all your friends, have a voting brunch and drop them off all together, then that's great too. You can do it how you want. Sometimes not everything goes right. If your papers don't get delivered for some reason, if you spill your coffee on them, or if anything else happens, then no worries. You're still able to vote in the elections. All you need to do is cast what's called a special vote. It's really easy to do a special vote. It takes 5 minutes. You just need to fill out an extra form. You can come see us at our voting hub at Te Pokapū Hapori Community Centre on Manor Street, anytime from voting opening on the 16th of September during normal business hours, and we can help you out with a special vote. In the final week of voting, from the 3rd of October, you can also get a special vote from 4 extra places around the city. It's something we're really excited about and something we haven't done before. You can get a special vote from Johnsonville Library at the Waitohi Hub, at Karori Library, at Newtown Library, or at Ruth Gottlieb Library in Kilburnie. You'll be able to get a special vote there during the library's normal opening hours, so that's usually about 10 to 6. And if there's enough time, so if you get in touch early enough, then we can post a special vote right out to you. So you can contact us on the council number 04 499 4444, or you can email election@wcc.govt.nz and we can arrange that for you. There's a few different people you get to vote for in the Wellington elections. You get to vote for the Mayor of Wellington, you get to vote for your local ward councillors, including a Māori ward councillor if you're on that role. You get to vote for your regional councillor, and then depending on where you live, you might get to vote for the Tawa Community Board, the Makara Ohariu Community Board, or the Hapmana Charitable Trust. The voting system we use in Wellington is called single transferable vote. This is different to the voting system that we use in the central elections. So the way it works is that You put a 1 next to the candidate you like the most, you put a 2 next to the candidate you like the second most, and you keep going. You can rank as many people as you want, you can do just one, you can do everyone, most people do somewhere in between. The vote will stop transferring to the next person once you leave a gap. So when the votes are counted, the way it works is that the person you rank number 1, if they don't get enough votes to be elected, then the vote passes over to number 2. If they don't get enough votes, number 3, until your vote counts or until your rankings run out. One of our key priorities for this election is improving the accessibility of voting. So this is one of the reasons we're putting all those additional ballot boxes around the city and having extra places to special vote. These are things we haven't done before. One thing we know from the overseas research is that having a postal voting option works best for those who might have difficulties voting. The reason for this is that you can ask a family member or a friend to assist you with voting if you want. If you feel uncomfortable asking a family member or friend to do that, you can also come to any of our special voting locations and get help from one of our trained electoral officials. And if there's time, once again, we can post those special votes out to you. We'll have extra candidate profile booklets, so these are little booklets with the information about who's running. We'll have them available in Braille, in large print, at some of our libraries, so at Te Aoi on Brandon Street, Arapaki on Manor Street, Newtown, Johnsonville, Ruth Gottlieb in Kilburnie, Karori, and we'll also have them at Blind Low Vision New Zealand. We'll have audio versions of the same information available on our website and a narrative version on the Blind Low Vision telephone service. If you need any help or want to get some more information, you can get in touch by calling Council on 04 499 4444 or emailing election@wcc.govt.nz. And for the first time ever in this election, Wellington will have a Māori ward. So I'm going to hand over to Karepa now, and he can talk to you a bit more about that.
Kia ora, tēnā koe. E te ui, mihi ana, kua hau a Karepa Wall, he uri no Taranaki maunga, no tūwharetoa, o tira o konei te whanganui a tara. It's awesome and so exciting that we've got a Māori ward here in Wellington, te whanganui a tara. All around Aotearoa, we've had a big movement of arranging to have Māori wards in this local election, and we're really proud that Wellington in the last few years has made that decision to progress and ensure that Māori living inside Wellington City have the ability to vote in a Māori ward that we've named Te Whanganui a Tara, thanks to our mana whenua partners here in Wellington. So, people who whakapapa as Māori, they have a choice when they enrol whether or not they sit on the general roll or the Māori roll. People who whakapapa as Māori can also change which roll they sit on every 6 years. Your next opportunity to do that is in 2024. And if you happen to be on the Māori roll right now, in this local election, you'll be voting for your local Māori ward candidate. Both residents and non-residents ratepayers can be on the Māori ward roll, and because this is the first time, because it's a new ward, you have the ability, as has been said by both Sean and Jen, to be either the first incumbent person inside that Māori ward, but also to put your vote towards who's going to be sitting in that seat for the very first time, right here, Te Whanganui a Tara in 2022. So I'm here to encourage all of you, all of our members of the community, koutou e whakapapa ana ki te Māori tangata whenua. You don't have to be mana whenua, but if you are on the Māori roll and you are passionate about Māori inside Wellington City, then maybe now is the right time for you to throw your hat in the ring and stand for this first Māori ward seat here in Wellington. It's really important for us to stand and have a voice, making sure that your voice is at our council table to go through all of those decisions that Barbara's just walked us through. There's big things on the agenda for Wellington, and we want you to help shape what Wellington Te Whanganui a Tara is going to look like as we go forward. Are you able to build some really strong relationships with our mana whenua? Are you able to sit there and make sure that our decision making is really effective for Māori? And are you ready to help shape what the next few years might look like for us as Māori? If so, standing for council is one of the really great ways that you can represent your community. Anybody can be a councillor, but all good elections need good candidates. So here's my plea for you. If you're watching this today and you're really interested and passionate, how about throwing your name in the ring? Stand up so that we can have that voice right here in Te Whanganui a Tara. If you are on the Māori roll, your voting papers will look slightly different to how they have in previous elections. You'll vote in what I said is called the Te Whanganuiatara Māori ward, instead of the previous general roll ward that you would have received papers for. You can still vote for the mayor as well as your local candidate. You'll have both of those options presented to you in your papers. You need to get out there and have a say e hoa mā about who represents you and who you possibly want to take your thoughts to that table. It's just as important that you put your vote out this year as it is every election, as it is every ward. So get out there and have a vote. Like Sean said, have a hui at the marae, have a hui with your whānau, get everyone together in your community and have a bit of a kōrero, have a bit of a discussion and put forward your vote for who you want to stand in this inaugural ward here in Wellington. If you do need some more information, as Jen said before, go and have a look at www.vote.nz or check out the wellington.gov.nz/elections website for more information. All of the information that both Barbara, Jen and Sean have gone through already in terms of the pre-election report, in terms of the candidate handbook, has some really good information in there as well if you're thinking about standing for the Māori ward, Te Whanganuiatara. Nō reire te iwi, tēnā koutou, kia ora rā tātou katoa.
I'll unmute myself, shall I? Thank you so much, Karipa, and to all the other panelists. There's just so much to take in there. So you must have so many great questions. The questions for tonight's webinar will be answered through a platform called Slido. And to access Slido, there's actually a button on the top right-hand corner of your screen that will take you directly to tonight's questions page. All the questions will be moderated so that we don't have any double ups or anything deemed offensive or inappropriate. If the panel doesn't get an opportunity to answer your question tonight, please refer back to that website again, vote.nz, where all the questions will be answered after the webinar. So we should start the questions. Sean, the first question is for you. I'm a New Zealand resident, but not a permanent resident yet. So am I eligible to vote?
You're eligible to vote if you're a resident in Wellington and you have no expiration date on your visa. So if you're a resident here and there's not a hard deadline where you have to go home, then you're able to enrol and vote.
Excellent, thank you. Karipa, this one's for you. If I'm on the Māori roll and I move to Wellington, can I vote in Wellington?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And if anyone is on the Māori roll, regardless of where you are in the country, you can enrol and vote in your current area wherever you are around the country. If you happen to move to Wellington at the time of the election between now and then what we are suggesting you do is update your details through the website as Jen talked you through so that you can vote here in Wellington. So anybody living right here in Wellington on the Māori roll, regardless if you previously voted in, say, Northland or South Island, if you're on that Māori roll and you're here in Wellington as either a resident or a non-resident, then you can enrol and vote on that Māori ward.
Excellent, thank you. We've still got some more questions coming in. The next one's for Jen. Jen, I'm studying in Wellington, but I'm from Auckland. Can I choose where I vote?
Sure. The best guidance for that we get from the Electoral Commission, which says you vote in the place that feels like home. So, we'd always encourage you, if you're living in Wellington, update your details and live here, and get your voting papers rather sent to your home here. But the key thing is vote in the place that feels like home is the advice we got.
Excellent. And another one for you, Jen. Will it be possible to vote online?
No, wouldn't it be nice? I get asked this a lot, mostly when people, when I'm out at dinner and people discover that I work at the council running elections. That's a central government decision. So that would require legislation to change to enable us to do online voting, and that's not coming for this election. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. And Barbara, this one's for you. What is the most exciting thing about working for council?
Oh, that's a big question. Look, two things. We're passionate about the city. So one of the things you'll find is a value in common with everyone who works for us and indeed everyone who stands for election, is that we share this passion for a thriving capital city, a great place to live in, a place we care about, a place we want to make better. So the great thing I would say to anyone thinking about working with, working for, because I can do a promo here about what a great employer we are, can't I? But you know, or standing for the council, is that you're working with a big group of people who care deeply about the city. That's one thing. And the other thing is there's never a dull moment. Every day a new challenge, something new and interesting happens. As I said, I've been in local government a long time, and that's why we love working for community.
Excellent, thank you. This sounds exciting. Karipa, we've got a question for you. Why have you introduced a Māori ward? It's a good question.
Yeah, and all around the country, we've got a large number this year who have decided to implement Māori wards. It's really been a discussion that we went out and had with the community and actually asked the community, is it something that they, in particular, is it something that Māori in this community want to have so that they can have their strong voice at the table. We actually, here in Wellington, had a really strong, resounding voice that said yes, it was something that they wanted to do here. And so we gave that information to our current councillors, and through this triennium they decided that it would be something that we explore, and gave the opportunity for Māori. So it's on the table now, and I guess it's all up to us as Māori living in this wonderful capital city of ours, Te Whanganui-a-Tara, to get out and vote and show that we are actually really interested in this Māori ward this year, and we do want to see somebody get up and represent our views at that table, making those billion-dollar kind of decisions as Barbara went through before.
That's so exciting, isn't it? It really is. Sean, we have a question for you. I am 17, but will be turning 18 at the end of September. Can I enrol to vote?
Yes, you can enrol right up until the last day before the close of voting. So you can enrol right up until the 7th of October this year. And if you're enrolled by then you can come and cast a special vote. You will need to come and cast a special vote if you enrol after the 12th of August. The other thing that's really good you can do is, if you're 17 at the moment, you can pre-enrol with the Electoral Commission. And if you do that, then even if your birthday's on the 8th of October, you can still come along and do a special vote as long as you turn 18.
Great, so the best thing to do is pre-enrol if you're in that position?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing to do. Go to vote.nz and get your details sorted there.
Excellent. Jen, we have one for you. When will information about candidates be available, and where can I find it?
Sure. So right now you can go to the Wellington City Council website and see all those that have put all the candidates that have been nominated so far. We're updating that list every day with new candidates as we process those applications. And then the voting information in terms of those candidate profile documents, they'll be available, they'll be sent out on the, is it the 15th or the 16th? 16th, every time I say the wrong one. On the 16th of September, they will be mailed out throughout the entire city and also available on the website. And as Sean also said, we'll also have braille versions of those through a range of sites, and also the Low Vision NZ audio files will be available as well. So lots of ways to find out about your candidates.
Excellent, thank you. That's wonderful. And Karipa, are there any candidates for the Māori ward? I haven't been able to find any information online, but will it be available on Friday?
Yeah. So yeah, it is a tricky question. I'm starting to think in my head who's online asking me these questions. But I think what Jen's going to say is there is a website on our WCC site that actually shows everyone who has registered to date and currently on there. Those names are there and available, so you can go and have a look on there and see who is registered. And as we get up to Friday and more people, because all of you are going to go and think about it tonight, putting your names forward to vote, it only takes a moment, as Sean has walked you through. As more people enrol to stand in that ward, you'll see those names pop up on the website over the next few days as well, and by Friday you'll see the list of them there. And then following, as Jen just said, you'll get a whole list of all of their profiles and everything sent out to you, provided e hoa mā, that you're registered to vote. So there's your first step, register, and then check those out. But you might want to add something to that, Jen.
Well, just that we processed our first candidate for the Māori ward today,
cool.
this afternoon, so it was really exciting.
There we go. So we've got one in there all ready to go.
One in the pot.
At
Don't
least
be
one.
late.
Hey, yeah. There we go. The challenge is out there. E te iwi,
Fill the kite.
let there be more than one option for us in the Māori ward.
Wonderful, that's so exciting. Sean, there's a question here for you. My mother is very elderly and has trouble writing. Can I fill out her voting papers for her? That's a really good question, because there are a lot of elderly people in our community, or people that are unable to fill out their own voting papers.
Yeah. So if you have any sort of issues with voting, you're able to authorise a friend or family member to vote for you, to assist you with that voting, and you can do that at home, or as I said earlier, you can come into any one of our special voting hubs, and we'll have trained staff, trained electoral officers available to help you fill out your voting papers and walk you through the process.
Wonderful, so lots of help then. Great. Barbara, this is one's for you, and I'll be interested in that answer too, actually. What do community boards do?
Well, it actually varies from area to area depending on how the council's governance structure works. But generally a community board there is to represent a distinct community of interest, and not every local authority has community boards. Here we have 2 community boards, and they represent the Makara area and the Tawa area. There is a history to their creation, because it goes all the way back to 1989 when there was local government amalgamation across the country. I know this because I was working for a council when it happened. The community boards we have here relate back to a previous time when there were separate councils in their areas. And their role is really to consider issues that are particular to their community and to convey their views to the council. Every council works with their community boards in a different way, but they are elected members, and I might just check and see whether Jennifer wants to add anything.
I was going to say, just that you know, please do consider, if you do live in Makara or Haureu or in the Tawa community, there are a number of positions that are available there, and it would be great to get some more candidates for those positions, and the position that they can hold, really putting forward that community view in what's coming up to those board meetings.
Thank you, that's really good to know. It's great to be part of those communities too, I'm sure. So Jen, we've got another one for you. What happens if you actually don't get to enrol by the 12th?
That's okay, you can still vote. That's the key message, you can still vote, but that's when you need to do a special vote. So for those that are enrolled by the 12th, that means their names are essentially listed on the roll, so on the big database, the big list, and if they're on that list, then the voting papers are sent straight to their house. If they're not on the list, then you need to come in and do a special vote. So if you find out straight away, give us a ring. We can post one out to you. We can post out a special vote, as Sean said. Otherwise, you can come down to one of the community voting hubs and we will work with you. It just takes 5 minutes. And we can provide the information for you. So that's if your name isn't on the roll. Please do that. It doesn't mean you can't vote. You can definitely vote. Come in on and be but you know, if your papers don't turn up, or if you put them on the kitchen bench and then you can't find them, or if you spill coffee on them, or if your kid draws a picture on them, these are all absolutely fine reasons. Just come along and say, look, I needed to special vote, and we'll look after you and make sure that you can have your say.
Wonderful, thank you. And this is for Sean. Why is it important for young people to care about local government?
It's a good question. I think probably one of the key things for me is that local government influences so many different things in your life. As Barbara was talking about earlier, Council has over 400 services that we provide. It's parks, it's sports grounds, it's libraries, it's the footpath, and all of these things are things that young people do. From a slightly selfish perspective, as an electoral official, if you vote when you're younger, you're more likely to keep voting for the rest of your life. And so getting your vote in the first time is really, really important.
Excellent. It's really important to have your say, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, Barbara, we have another question for you. What are the council's priorities for the year ahead?
For the year ahead.
Big question.
Yeah. First of all, I'll preface my answer by saying every 3 years the council adopts a new long-term plan, and that looks in detail over the first 3 years of that 10 years and then indicates the priorities in the longer term. So the annual plan is always a slice out of that 10-year plan, and what it does is make provision for the priorities that the council is driving. So for us, if I think about the things that I'm particularly focused on at the moment, it's delivering that big capital works program and investing in key infrastructure. For example, in our 10-year plan, we have $2 billion just for Three Waters infrastructure, so a lot of work being undertaken. An example of an important above-ground project would be the pending opening of our Tākina Convention Centre next year, and getting underway with the construction and development of our Te Matapihi Central Library project as examples. We also want to drive the development program for Tinako Civic Square so our community can see the progress we're making there. Climate change response, we have a Te Atakura climate change response plan, and there are key milestones to continue to drive for that. We've just notified our district plan, so part of the regulatory role of the council, and the district plan sets the rules. Having outlined our spatial plan direction, sets the rules to enable development and planning for growth. So a big area of focus for the council is planning for a growing population, and that involves intensification in the centre of the city. I'd never stop proposing and promoting the idea that a really important part of our activity is great customer service. So for me, those 400 services, the way we respond to our citizens, the way we deal with issues and problems. We have thousands of inquiries every year that we process. We do a great job of most of them. Some things we need to do better. So I have a personal major drive as the Chief Executive of the organisation to ensure that we are a high-performing organisation delivering on the priorities of the council, and that we are regarded as an employer of choice. Look, I could talk at length about this, but I better stop.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm sure there's, it sounds like there's a huge amount that you're doing, which is fantastic, really exciting. Is there anywhere I could find the long-term plan on your website? Yeah,
it's very easy to find, and Mr. Google is very useful. I often use it myself. Wellington City Long-Term Plan, and it'll pop up on the website, so you can see the 10-year plan that was adopted only last year, I think, in there, and you'll also find information about our annual plan. I'm sure my team will tell me that I forgot to mention something, so please do take a look, and a plug again for that pre-election report.
Excellent, thank you. Jen, this one's for you. I live in Porirua City, but want to pass a special vote. Can I do that at your locations in Wellington City?
Oh, Louise, that's my favourite question. Yes, yeah, so we put a lot of effort into working really closely with the other councils in the region. We know that there's lots of people that work in the city, and it would be hard for them to actually try and access their services in the local authority area where they live. So we will have their voting papers with us in the special voting hub. So I'd encourage people to get along to the special voting hubs. We can help people process those votes for their home areas, and then we get those into the mail system and back so that those votes count as well. But yeah, this is just part of the tautoko we can provide to our neighbours, and knowing that actually a lot of the people that live in those areas come in and work in the city, no problem at all, we can look after you.
Wonderful, thank you, that makes it easy. Sean, there's one for you. if I'm a really private person, do I have to put my details on a public electoral roll?
That's also a good question. No, you don't have to. So when you enroll, you can make a choice to go on what's called the unpublished roll, and it's basically the confidential roll. And so the Electoral Commission will still keep your details safe in their service, but it won't be made public like the rest of the electoral roll is. The thing is, if you are enrolled on that unpublished roll, then you will have to come cast a special vote because we don't have your details to send the vote to you. So you don't need to make it public. You can make that choice when you enroll. Go check on vote.nz and come and do a special vote.
Great, thank you. Barbara, this is a really good one, and I'd be interested in your answer. Is being a councillor a full-time job? Because it certainly sounds like it might be. And do you have an example of what a day in the life of a councillor or a week in the life of a councillor might look like?
Yeah, okay. Look, over the years, the role of an elected member, particularly for a city council the size of Wellington, has become a more demanding role, and a lot of our elected members do choose to make that their sole focus. It is possible, of course, to have other activities and businesses in your life, and I have seen many elected members manage to balance both their own careers and working lives with their elected member responsibilities. The most demanding role of all, of course, is the mayor. The mayor is definitely a full-time role. And I think really it's a choice for elected members as to how much time they want to invest in being an elected member, because there is the work you do with us coming into meetings in the council, reading all your papers, but there's also the work you might choose to do in engaging with your constituents in your ward, for example. A typical day in the life of a councillor, well, it's never boring. It depends on the meeting cycle, because every term the mayor has the opportunity to choose the governance structure he or she puts in place, and that structure then drives the program of meetings. So I've worked for a council where key meetings happened every 6 weeks. At the moment in Wellington City Council, we have a pretty busy meeting schedule every week. There is a key meeting of the full council in various committee settings. So I think a typical day in the life of a council will be definitely some reading, probably responding to a lot of emails from people who want to raise their concerns and questions with you, interacting with staff of the council, not always with me as the Chief Executive. We have a great team working with Jennifer, Democracy Services, and a support mechanism there for councillors. And I might just ask Jennifer if you want to add anything, because Jennifer and her team, the team here actually, interact with the councillors, providing them support often. So Jen.
Sure. I was going to say, I'll put in a plug as well for the candidate handbook, yeah. Which is on the website, which does talk about this as well. But so in the last year we had, 95 committee and subcommittee meetings, if that kind of gives, were attended by elected members. So there's a lot of meetings that go through. There's a huge amount of reading. And I think that would be, I'd really encourage people that like reading to do this, because it must be tricky for those that struggle. There is a lot of material to go through in there. There are often key briefings on key pieces of work in the lead up to decisions, making sure that elected officials and councillors have the opportunity to really hear all of the issues involved and interact with staff and ask any questions before they go into committee meetings. Often ask more questions in the committee meetings and then do that discussion and think about the decisions that they're making. So I think that would be something else to stress within that. There's also a number of those elected members that will be either chairs or deputy chairs of committees, and so they're also carrying a whole pile of work in addition to their roles as elected members, really thinking about that committee and the decisions that are coming up and interacting with staff around those. So it's a really full area of work, to be sure. And that's, in the Remuneration Authority, they remunerate the councillors as if it was a full-time role. So while some can also do other work, it is a busy program of work. In fact, we had somebody ring up and ask, how many meetings would they have to attend, and could they keep their own job around the edges? I would really encourage people to be able to attend all of those committee meetings and think about the amount of work that would be involved in doing those as we go through, because that's what the community will be looking for you to be doing and representing you. So we just want to build people up so that they are able to do that work effectively.
Awesome, thank you. So lots of work, lots of reading, but still possible to juggle both if you want to. Jen, this one's for you again. I missed the information, candidate information for the evening. So where can I go to find out about standing?
So if you go to the Wellington City Council website, again, Google works really well, WCC elections, it will pop up, and there's a whole section around information for candidates. So in there you'll find the candidate handbook I keep plugging, and also the PowerPoint slides, so all the slides that were presented at the candidate briefing, so you can go through those at your own pace, read through them, really kind of think about what they mean for you. And on the YouTube channel, so again you can find that through the WCC website, but you can go through, and we recorded the whole candidate briefing so that people could watch it in their own time. And as I said, we had sign language interpreters for that as well, so that people can watch and re-watch that and think about what it would mean for them to stand and make sure that the information that they need is covered for them.
Wonderful, thank you. So lots of information there to access. That's great, thank you. So Sean, this is a good one that follows on. Am I allowed to contact candidates to find out more about their policies?
Yes, you can. So you're able to contact candidates in a couple of different ways. The main one is that towards the end of August, we'll make candidates' contact details available on our website in the same place as all the other elections material. So you'll be able to reach out to them through that. Often a lot of people use social media as well, so I'd encourage you, if you're interested in candidate and want to find out more, get in touch with them that way.
Wonderful, thank you. Jen, this is for you. When will we know about the election results?
Oh. Well, we would expect a progress result to come through, which is about 95% of the votes counted. We would hope that they would be people voting ahead of time, and we will have that by 2 o'clock, say, on voting day. So voting will close at noon. But if you think about it, it's been a 3-week voting period. People would have been voting and getting their ballots into the ballot bins, 55 locations around the city, or through the postal network. So most of those votes will already be collected. They will be immediately counted, and then those results come back. So that's called a progress report, a progress result, which will come through. I'm hoping at 2 o'clock I'll be talking to the Chief Executive and saying what result we've got. I'm expecting then that there was a lot of votes that came through on the last day, last election. It would be really nice if it was less. I'm not sure if at this point, Louise, I can put in a plug for voting early, but those votes are then transported to the voting processing centre, and we would hope to get a result back by, say, 10 o'clock that night. It may actually go until Sunday. It really depends on how many people vote on the final day, and then we know what proportion, if you can think about what proportion haven't been counted when that first result comes through. So it depends how many people vote. It depends how close the election is, whether or not we'll know that result. But we should have that, what they call preliminary result. It would be nice if we could get that the same day on Saturday. That's really with the city, is really with how many people vote on the last day, and make it a little bit trickier for those counting the votes. The final official result I'm expecting on 13 October. So that's everything's been counted, all the special votes counted, and that will come through, I'm expecting, by the 13th of October. But it is exciting on the day when we find out. And yeah, I would be hoping to get a result for you through for the city by 2 o'clock. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So get your vote in early. There'll be lots of updates, and we'll get a final decision on what date? The 13th. Excellent, wonderful, thank you. So I'd like to pose our last question, but to everyone on the panel this time, in turn, maybe starting with Barbara. Why is it really important to vote? Why do you think it's important to vote?
The future of Wellington City depends on an inclusive, participative democracy. The people who represent you, the people who make decisions about the city, the direction we're taking it in, the way, what we invest in, what we prioritise, is all down to who comes through this election and becomes my employer and our governance body. So I'm looking forward to working with a future mayor and group of councillors to make sure that we do have a capital city fit for the future, and I really want you to help us make sure that we have the best team possible. How's that?
That's good. Oh my gosh, there it's me now, is it?
Yeah.
That's a big question. I think people need to vote because it's their city. We want people to feel invested in the decisions and the work that happens for Wellington City Council. And I think that voting is one of the best ways that people can really involve themselves in what's happening in the city and feel part of what goes forward. So voting is really about coming out and making sure that the person that you want to represent you actually goes forward and is part of that decision making. We know that in the rural areas more people vote than in cities. It would be so nice if we had Wellington City people also wanting to vote in that way and coming out to the city to really think about who is it that we want to stand, who represents me, and then can feel part of and owning really the decisions that come through from that point.
Cool. Over to me. I think for me, when I think about voting, the reason that I want to do it is that council has such a crazy impact on our lives, and council does so many different things that impact what we do and how we go about it on a day-to-day. And so voting is one of the key ways that you can influence how that works and how the city is shaped and what it looks like and how you interact with it. And so coming out to vote gives you a good chance to be involved. Not, of course, that it's the only way to be involved. You can be involved in council decisions other ways, but voting is one of the key ones where you can make that difference.
Yes, well, I'd just like to thank you three for taking all of the answers and leaving me with not a lot left to say. But, you know, I think about local government and it affects every single one of us wherever we are, wherever we're living. And sometimes we don't really understand that. You don't even have to leave your house to see something that we're connected and doing in local government, be it your water, be it your sewage, be it the recycling that's picked up, be it the front street outside your house, right through to the things that everyone sees on a big basis, like the library, like your community centres, like your pools, all of those kind of things. And I don't think people really put the two and two together. They're actually your chance to decide who has an impact and who decides what those things look like and how they are shaped up over the next year really is dependent on you getting out and putting your vote into that post box this year for your person. So I think if I was to say to anybody that they had one job in 2022, it would be to get your vote in that mailbox so that you can have a say about who is the people who are shaping up all of those 400 kinds of services that we have. That's why it's important for me.
That's excellent, thank you. That's my take out. You have one job, go and vote so that you have an impact and can be engaged in your communities. So thank you so much for sharing all of your incredible knowledge tonight, panel, with our participants and with our audience. Your expertise is incredible, so thank you. We're now going to close with a karakia from Karipa.
Kia ora te iwi tēnā koutou, kua tai tō tātou kōrero ki tōna rehutanga. O tērā ko te mihi whakamutinga ki a koutou katoa kei ngā kāinga kei te whanganui a Tarahuri noa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. O te raunuhiara, te nutapu nui kia wātea, kia māma te ngākau te tinana te wairua I te ara takatū. Ko ia rae rongo, wakaere ake ki runga kia tēnā. Hui e.